to the channel, a channel that is all about Christ. If you're new here, thank you so much for joining us. But if you're stopping by, please do consider subscribing and joining this family. All about making Jesus proud of it here. And if you're part of the family, I love you, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming back. Okay, so today I wanted us to talk about idolizing marriage. Or maybe idolizing is a bit of a strong word. Wanting marriage so much as a young Christian woman. Not that it doesn't apply to guys also, but specifically I want to focus on women. And there's a video that I want you guys to watch before I talk about all of this. So that you get where I'm coming from. Okay.
As soon as you said marriage, like it's so casual. You don't realize that this thing is becoming an idol. I don't want to idolize anything because I love God and He loves me.
Yes.
And His love is all that I need. So yeah, of course, God, I want to be a wife one day. If it's in your plans, if it's in your will for my life. So I'm laying it down today. Amen. I'm no longer idolizing marriage, and I will patiently wait on the Lord.
I watched this video and my heart felt so heavy after watching it. I felt so bad for that girl. And I could feel the pain in her heart, and I could feel her just realizing how much she has been idolizing marriage and she didn't even realize. Which is something that happens to a lot of us as young Christian women. We tend to want marriage so much so that it's a form of an idol, it's a form of worship. You want this thing so bad. But I do want to say, I get it. I get where it's coming from. I understand how we got here. And this is not to say the aunt women who just like they love marriage, they idolize marriage for themselves, which is wrong, right? You need to want something in a healthy way. You need to pray for something in a healthy way. Once you want it so much, then it becomes a little bit wrong because you're going to get a little desperate, right? But I do want to say I understand as a young woman in the church how we got here. I understand how a lot of young women want marriage so bad. I understand how we got here. And this is how we got here. First of all, generally as a girl, this marriage thing comes up a lot when you are learning to cook. When you do something wrong, they will always mention so this marriage seed is planted in our heads at a very young age. This value of us having a value when you are married. It's like you are now a real woman, or you I don't know, it's how people always say it and men always say it, that makes us to feel, and maybe not even realizing this is how we feel, but because this marriage thing and this marriage seed is planted at a very young age, iyangena lento ngithi ukuthi okay, ngiwumuntu osifazane ophelele mase ngishadile, right? Okay, so this smallanyana things, they say this marriage thing. When you come into the church, you find bosses that are older than us, that are now married, that idolizes marriage. Like every time she gets a chance, she talks about her and her husband. My husband said this. No, my husband this, my husband that. You have young women like us who are sitting down and watching this older woman in the church who all they talk about is marriage and how they found value because they're now married. It's planting the seed. Okay, so this is how things go. I'm more of a woman when I'm now married. you hear people when they testify. You hear how people get so excited when they have, like, uNkulunkulu blesses us with a lot of things, ne? But when he has blessed someone with a marriage, it's it's such a big deal. Like, it's such a big deal. And this seed is continued to be planted to say, okay, so marriage is a big deal. Marriage is something that gives you value. Marriage defines you. All the seeds that are planted in your head, and we end up wanting marriage. Sometimes not because this is what I want so much, but because of the environment that I see and how people always talk about their husbands. My husband this, my husband that. It's Galendo, as a young woman who's not yet married, I can't wait to get there so that now I can feel normal. Ooh, I don't know if this makes sense. So in my mind, I'm like, I can't wait. I can't wait to get married. Because I want to feel normal. Now I want to be stand there and be like, my husband said this, and the other day me and my husband, this and that. Because you have women in the church that God has blessed them with marriage, that they flaunted in our faces all the time. And not that you should not celebrate your marriage, but women themselves have made marriage to be such a big deal, to a point where you have these young women that are coming up, and this is the seed that you are planting to them, that you can now brag, you can now become a complete woman, you are now complete because you are married. So this marriage thing, iloku yangena in our heads. And before we know it, we idolize this marriage. We want marriage so much so that it's not healthy. We are praying for marriage so much so that it's not healthy. Let alone that I'm not even called to get married. That's not my portion. Imagine how that is going to break me after I've experienced all of this. After I've seen all of this. And after I've heard marriage this, marriage that, marriage this, marriage that. Okay. Whew. Another reason for me is, and I have been a victim of this, when you are a young woman, especially that is beautiful, a young woman that is beautiful, that is not married, you are always a number one suspect to people's husbands. So just because I'm not married, then that means I can't talk to your husband. I can't talk to a guy in the church that is married, or a guy that is not even married. It's always a matter of uyamfuna. Guys, I personally, I have been a victim of this a couple of times. Simply because I'm a young woman, I'm beautiful, I'm kind, I personally, my personality is like this, not only in the church. I am someone ojoyela very easily, whether it's a guy, whether it's a girl. I get along with people easily. This is just how I am. But you get in the church, you get this women that are married that are insecure in a way that they put their insecurities on us that are not married. All the time we are being suspected, and it's just like, maybe this would have been so much better if I was also married. Because we share, maybe we are on the praise team together. Obviously, praise team we're obviously gonna talk. But because I'm not married, it's always jump to the conclusion yes, there are boundaries to be made. This person is now married, you create all these boundaries. But even just dating, you found a guy eventually nice until you ask someone out, lie bandling. And then now so it's suspect, man. How? Obviously, but I'm enjoying it before you got here. Now that I'm here, how ridiculous is that? How ridiculous is that? Just because you guys don't know if I'm in a relationship or not, then I'm a number one suspect. So it pushes me to a point where I'm like, I really wish sooner, so that all this noise can quiet down. Because no one will say I want someone's husband when I'm already married, right? But because I'm not married, I'm beautiful, I'm young, I'm energetic, I'm this, I'm that, I want people's husband. Just I remember having a conversation with one of Abosiseng Sontanab, like she's way older than me. she mentioned ukuthi I feel the heat every time, Normand. Every time, simply because I'm getting old, I'm in my late 30s and I'm not married. I feel the heat every time of this marriage conversation because ngimdala and it's possible that maybe ngisashad. I feel the heat yokuthi I'm always the number one suspect. And I said to her, I'm young. I'm very, very young. And some of the men that I have been suspected with, they're way older than me. Like, there's no way. But you get this married woman, so then it's pushing us to a point of saying, I wish kube bengishadile nami, so that no one suspects me, so that people will treat me with the respect. People, no, and this is not to say but lendo it's projected to every woman in the church. Once wangashada, you know for a fact that you're gonna be number one suspect of fufuna madoda bantu. So it's lento, just because abantu bashadile kusho ukuthi ungasabakhulumisi bheka le, because if awubhekile so yabafuna. So then it's pushing me to say, okay, nkosi ngicela ungiphe wami umshado, so that nam ngizokhona to be normal. Because just because I'm not married, then it means I'm not normal. Then it means I'm after people's husbands. Then it means I don't respect people's marriage. Then it means I'm this thirsty girl. It's so much. It's so much. And when I saw this video of this girl, I could relate on so many levels. I could relate of this thing in the church of married women who are always suspecting us just because we are not married yet, suspecting us of wanting their husband, suspecting us. It's a lot. It's a lot. Not being married in the church in this day and age is difficult, and I don't know how we got there, but it is difficult, which makes us to end up wanting marriage so much. And you get pastors who talk about this and that, and no one really wants to understand how we got there. No one really wants to understand what were the factors that pushed us to really long for marriage so much. Which is why I said on the other videos, I wish guys in the church would stop asking us out using marriage, because this marriage thing is planting a seed to us. Yeah? And there have been guys under the name of marriage. Right? So this marriage thing, it flog our judgment, because you now mention that you see me as a wife and I want to be a wife. And once you mention that card, and you guys, I want to boldly say, I feel like you guys know. You know that women in the church want to get married. You know this is a big deal for us. And this is why exactly the first thing you'd say is, I do want to say you guys are taking advantage of the fact that women in the church are really looking for marriage. And also another thing, we are looking for marriage because this is the only way you can boldly declare your love to someone as a Christian, because we are not allowed to do that. So this is the only way you get to boldly say, my husband, this, my husband, that, which ends up being a lot. I mean, I have seen a woman always, you every time whether uyofakaza, whether you always know mention her husband, and you see how much he idolizes this thing. And uNkulunkulu has blessed her with a lot of things, but she doesn't go up there and mention all other things. But the marriage thing, she will always get up there and be like, my marriage this. Now, I'm a dog. Once they get married, they flaunt it in our faces as if bragging about, yeah, now I have a wife, sorini. And it's just like, but why? Why are you doing all this? Yes, God has blessed you with a marriage. Calm down, relax. Why do you drag us in there? And eventually, like, he had to choose one, and like she found favor, this and that, and all these things, all these small things are a contributing factor to young women wanting marriage so much, so in a way that is not healthy. All these factors are contributing. You have men, they always get up there, and it's just like, relax, relax. Why must so that person shadile now you mention as if tina besikufuna, as if hard luck guys and even if you did date someone here in the church it just didn't work. There's no need for you to flaunt your marriage in her face as I feel bad I wish very soon simply because Usipo is now married and he's gonna make a point which he has the real woman, which is what guys do. They play girls in the church and then must have and go and take son, which is why he's able to come and boast now and do all this smolanyana talks masala papambi because in the name of marriage. What's your faith? So buya la sofuna ukuzenza muhle kunkosikazi wakhe sengathi thina besimfuna sengathi thina besifuna shade sengathi thina Nkosi yami, which is it annoys me so much. It annoys me so much, guys who are so self-centered every time, who think sihlezi sibafuna every time. And it's funny to me because you don't even know if I'm in a relationship. This pride of guys being sure that bayafuna all the time is ridiculous. This pride, young men of God, young lions, this pride they have that siyabafuna all the time. When it's them that stand there and see us as option and be like, if they see us as option, and we see this. We see this, but because we want marriage so much, it senza judgment be clear. Under the name of marriage. And this is why we have a lot of young women who are so obsessed with umshado. You see how just to gain just something else how but it's not land. Anela Shade. Her whole content is now about marriage. It's her husband. My husband this, my husband that. And you see, okay, so unena told this blessing, a whole different side of you showed up. I totally agree with this girl. We are idolizing marriage and we are making marriage as a big deal. Also, something I was noticing lately, people have a tendency of when you just got married, they post your picture and say, I'm proud of you. And I was asking myself, proud? You proud of me? For what? For 20 days on Shata? Why are you proud? I'm happy for you. Congratulations. Proud, as if I've worked hard for this thing, as if this is something, this is something I've earned. No, this is just a blessing from God. I did nothing. God just blessed me with a husband that wanted to get married to me. Nah, he blessed him with a wife that wanted to get. Why are you proud? Multi-proud, what do you mean? This is us continuing to idolize umshado and making umshado this big deal. Umshado is a beautiful thing that comes from God, but it's a blessing that chooses to give to certain people. Not all of us are going to get married, and this is going to break us because all of us, we see this content creator when they are now married, and it pushes us to say, oh, now I can't wait, now I wish, oh, so it creates this illusion umshado. I could say a lot, but I really understand this girl, and I do want us to give it to God. Because I want marriage, I really do, but I want marriage in a healthy way. I want to also prepare my mind to say maybe this is not my portion. Like any other thing, and it's not him not being fair. This is how he is. This is how life is in general. So it's not for you. Even if you see pray to God, help me because it might be that this is not my portion. Because we do have abazalwane abathi bangathola umshado. This is all they brag about. And this is so painful to other women that wish for the same thing, but abanai. But they're not considerate. Just because you're so shadile, just because when God has blessed you with a man that was serious enough to want to make you a wife, then kusho ukuthi ke thina abanye ke Nkosi yami ngathi thina asikho serious, thina siyadlala thina konke shodayo ngathi, that is why amadoda angafuni ukushada, which is just so wrong. And it's wrong on your part as a woman to make other women feel like that. It's okay if you see ifilela thina simply because it's no more. Not because now you are pushing us there, simply because you now have this blessing. So thina ke we must suffer just because when I so tall indoor shut we must suffer because your husband this, your husband that. I mean, I've finished that man. Anyway, I just wanted to say to my fellow sisters, I understand personally as a fellow sister in Christ. I understand where you're coming from. I understand why you want marriage so much. I understand why this thing has become an idol and you didn't even realize it. Let God know, because I want to get married, yes, but I don't want to idolize marriage. I don't want to push myself to a point where every time a guy approaches me and he mentions umshado, I lose all my values, I lose all the things that I want and focus on the fact that he wants to get married to me. My fellow brothers in the church, you guys, you need to act better. If me and you maybe from school, or maybe in this church, and now you have a girlfriend, the way you turn to treat us as if as if maybe it's ridiculous. It is hurtful, it is disrespectful. Yes, when you now have a girlfriend, create boundaries, but the way you guys go about it, it is so disrespectful. It's so disrespectful how you act like basic phone. If I wanted you, before ugela figure here, why do you think of me so low that you think that you have someone? You need to act better as our brothers. You need to act better. Act so much better. When you now have your wife, continue to treat us as your sisters. Continue to treat us with respect. Just because you have now this blessing of having a wife, don't disrespect her just because of umfazi way. And always putting these ideas in her head, put it in a basic phone and hard luck as it tolang. Treat us better, treat us with respect. Love us as your sisters, give us respect. Oh, guys annoy me so much. The way they change when they now have a girlfriend. It's always a behavior that is suspicious. That is like and stop making other people to feel bad just because you now have this blessing. You guys can act better. Men can act better. Men in the church can act better. You really can act better. There's no need to flaunt it in her face. So it's fine. Focus on her. Focus on building that blessing. Don't drag us in. Don't disrespect us in such a way. Ugh. Anyway, you watch that video, you could feel her pain and how much she has wanted marriage so much to a point where she didn't realize that now I'm idolizing this thing, which is a sin. God doesn't want us to idolize anything. He wants us to love him with all our heart, and all these things will be added. And once we love something else more than him, then it becomes a sin. I'm sorry, I'm a little frustrated now that I actually having a conversation about this. Yeah. I love you so much for watching. For Jesus love you more. I will definitely see you next time on my next video. Bye.